when I see a movie that moves me, that heals me, that makes me think, that makes me angry, that or a story in theater, or even a painting or a song, I'm like, wow, I'm part of that group that is creating to make you feel
Yes.
a certain way or resonate, or it's a me thing, but also it's a collective thing.
Welcome back to the Corner Talks podcast. I have my good friend here.
How's it going, man? Happy to be back.
No, it shouldn't be about anything. Like, this is one life.
Yep, one life. Like, fucking do it.
My guy.
Like, she just got it. She totally understood it.
20 years old when I started just watching a lot of movies.
And it tells a story. I want to tell a story.
Performer, entertainer, and artist, Gabriela Bonet. What's going on? How are you?
Good morning. Hi, Daniel. Thank you for having me here at your show. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you. It's an honor that you participated in this show. Has been going on for just over 2 years. I was explaining to you before the podcast, and it's always gratifying to know that I've been, enriching creatives' lives, helping them, navigate the industry through creative experiences from the guests that I bring on. And it's very interesting seeing that we've been corresponding through Instagram, because I've seen your profile pop up a few times and you being very supportive of my work as much as I am of yours. We finally have this opportunity to meet, I would say face to face, but virtually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So Gabriela, as I said, we met through Instagram, and for me, the platform consistently proves to be an engaging and opportune place for creatives like ourselves to converse and network within the entertainment industry. So that's how I've been able to acquire so many guests and cultivated so many relationships, was because of this podcast. So I owe it to this platform. But that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the extension of the technology that granted me that opportunity, and that is Instagram. So upon viewing your profile, just going through, what you've been posting and doing some research, I've noticed you have an affinity for the arts and performance amongst several pieces of content, right? So a lot of the things that you've been posting, it's very traditional in a sense, like you're a character actor, like a performer, very extravagant in your nature, and that's what I love. You're very expressive. So I want to know from you, why did you decide to pursue such an elusive career in acting?
Elusive. The elusive. That is the word that is like popped the most. I think,
Because
but
that's how I describe it. It's like when you think you have it and sometimes it's not there. You know what I mean? Like, why are we crazy enough to pursue it?
I know. We have to be insane to pursue this, I
Of
think.
course, of course.
Um, but at the same time, that elusiveness, I think everything worth, so good experiences in life are like that. You have to work
Of course.
hard. And at the end of the day, you feel like so good that, okay, maybe I got closer to this that I want, to this step.
Yeah.
Um, I think it has morphed during the years. Initially, I consider myself a very shy kid, or very introverted,
Oh, wow.
and
Interesting.
I discovered theater. Oh, I have to say,
Yes.
instead of me pursuing it, it came one day. This is sounds like it's like
Okay.
weird, but it came one day to my house, to my living room. I
Okay.
have an aunt that she's a playwright, and one day she wrote a play and she needed a kid and a girl, and so she came one day to my house and say like, hey, we're gonna play this game. I'm gonna give you some things to do, and she was auditioning me. I didn't know that was happening. I was like 9 years old.
Wow. You
Um,
didn't know you were being auditioned?
I didn't know
Oh,
anything
wow.
about
That's
plays
awesome.
or
Yeah.
being
You
auditioned
were
or
being yourself.
yes, just
Nice.
myself. And so she just auditioned me. I got the part,
Yeah.
and then that how the journey started. So it was like I was uh it came to me in a way. I mean, I've always been surrounded by artists and my family and all that, but that was officially like the first like uh bee stung. Bee
Yeah,
stung.
like introduction to the industry.
Yes,
Yeah, the
yes,
playwright. And this was a relative of yours you were explaining, right? Like
yes,
someone
yes.
close to you. That's amazing. And it's very interesting that you said you were very shy, introverted. I noticed a pattern with unknown and famous actors and actresses, like even people that come on this podcast. They often say that, and I find it baffling and intriguing at the same time, right? Because like I know De Niro and Pacino, you see their performances and they come across so extroverted, and in real life they're not. So that juxtaposition, right, is highly fascinating. I guess I would describe that myself, being a writer director. I guess I could use the excuse that I can hide behind the camera. So why would I need to be extroverted? But in a way, I was very introverted growing up, more so reserved. Like I just kept to myself. I didn't really feel the need to be so social. And I just learned as I navigate this business, as I come into my own as a director, that you really need to pull those qualities of an extrovert when needed, right? Whether it's cultivating a relationship or acquiring some sort of contact in your network, building a foundation for yourself. Did you find that you needed to transform as a person, like change, or do you still believe you're like the introverted self that you are?
At the beginning, yes. At that first experience, I feel like it took a lot of effort for me to actually go there and allow
Okay.
myself to just be on stage, because theater is like my first love. It
Yes, yes.
was for theater.
Awesome.
But then I stopped, and I focused more on dancing after that.
Okay,
Um,
great.
and then I went back to theater, and actually it was just like, it was very liberating when I went back to it.
Mhm.
I remember even my parents went to see a show that I was doing, and they told me, we were looking at each other, we couldn't believe that was you, because it's such a different, it's just, I think it gives you the permission to just be, literally be, and you're so vulnerable,
Yes.
so present, that you can be just thinking about what you have to do, you just do it.
Yeah.
So I think that actually helped me eventually to like getting more comfortable with myself, to be able to speak. Sometimes when I was a child, I was very very ay bajito, como se dice, low, like low
Yeah.
pitch, and like I was like
Reserve, like to yourself, right?
reserved,
Yeah, yeah.
hesitant to
Recluse.
ask
Yeah.
for stuff. And then I feel like that really helped to like, okay, no, I'm just gonna be me, and this is unapologetically me.
That's
Um,
awesome. And
and
I
I
feel like, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, no. That I feel like that's throughout the years,
Mhm.
it comes and goes. That feeling of introverted and extroverted, and it's just like a constant, like,
It fluctuates.
yes, it does fluctuate. After the
That's very
pandemic, I think
interesting.
also that I feel like, oh my God, I do really like to be in my with myself in my cocoon, but my career requires to actually open up. Yeah.
Yeah. I laugh because that's so true. The pandemic definitely brought out like people, those that complained in the pandemic were highly extroverted, and those that didn't were highly introverted like ourselves, right? For me, I use it as a time to capitalize and grow my craft and my business, 94 Productions. But at the same time, like there is that desire to like get back into human connection and get out there back in the world. But I know exactly what you mean. Like if we're not careful, us introverts or us recluse people, we can just stay in a room. You know what I mean? We'd be happy with our thoughts. I think the only thing, I don't know if you agree with me on this, the only thing for me that kind of gets me out of that cocoon or pushes me is that desire to pursue the arts, right? Like that need to follow this passion. That's what pulls me out. But when I was younger, like as a teenager, especially like coming into my 20s, I really was happy. Like my friends would call me and be like, "Yo, why don't you want to come on?" I'm like, I don't know. I just don't care. Like I'm kind of happy. Like I find things to do. I'm busy. You know what I mean? But I had a lot of extroverted friends, so they were just like confused at the concept. But you and I can relate on that. Would you say it's the same for yourself? Like the craft or what's required of you to pursue this passion pulls you out of being an introvert?
Yes, and what you said about connecting, also connecting with other people, like that's what storytelling is. Like
Yes.
I am going through this experience for you, the audience.
Yes. It's true.
So so like I have a teacher that says, an acting teacher, that they say that is basically like you're putting on your armor and you're gonna go fight the dragon. I,
Yeah.
as the actor, I'm gonna do that for
Yeah.
you, the and I'm gonna bring you in my adventure, and then you, the audience, are gonna become me, because then you're gonna go through all these emotions and experience. So that's also what I do it. I love it because I can get to connect in a deeper level, and also like just explore that other side of me, or
Yeah.
allow myself to go there, or um having, I mean, I don't choose a story. Auditions come, and like, these are the characters and stories that I'm being given to, so I just have to allow myself and accept that, and that is very thrilling,
Yeah.
to also like get to experience different experiences of life, and
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
their connection. So
Yeah, well, that's how I believe that's how a lot of like the master actors, right? Master class actors come out of their shell is they treat it as they're embodying someone else, right? So it's not as fearful. Because the audience, right, if it's a bad performance, not that it is, or if it's something that we question or intrigued by, whatever have you, like we're not judging you, we're not perceiving you, we're perceiving the character you're portraying, right? So
exactly.
it's like a protective barrier. So like you said, like you're putting on the armor to battle a dragon, whether that's the plot or the audience, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of understandable why a lot of introverts are able to become actors in that sense. And like I said, if I had the talent or the inclination, I would definitely pursue it. I've been told many times you should try your hand at it.
Well,
um
you should
Thank
then.
you, thank you. Yeah. I don't know. Like I feel like, because people have told me like I have some sort of charisma to me, but I just don't. I love the behind the scenes, like actually controlling the vision, if that makes sense. But you never know, right, in life where it could take me, right? Maybe I'll direct myself in a performance. I don't know.
That would be amazing. You
Yeah, that
imagine?
would be right. Yeah, I'll come back to you on that.
Yes,
I'll
please.
send you a direct link.
Por favor, por favor. But and also
Yeah.
what you said, you're holding the magic part of all of it is
Yes.
there in the behind the scenes. What is going on all around? So you're only seeing this, the actress or whatever, the actor.
Right. Right. Right.
There's so much going on behind, and that's where you come, and so
Yeah,
you're
that's yeah. No, I'm saying, like I said, that's what just like fascinates me. But yeah, you never know with this career, right? Even for yourself, like you might transition one day, maybe become a producer or director yourself. A lot of actors have proven that, right? That
Yes.
they just like they just transition in their roles, right? They kind of like elevate, or evolve, I should say, as they navigate the industry. So that's really cool to hear. And again, looking at your profile, another thing that kind of stood out to me was it's at the acronym USC, which I believe is the University of California, Southern California. Am I correct?
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. Awesome. So I want to know from you, how did attending the University of Southern California facilitate this artistic endeavor to be an actor?
Um, so it was like in every aspect of my life. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico,
Nice.
and I came directly from Puerto Rico to California to do my master's in acting at USC.
Nice.
So for me, USC became it was like it was an eye-opening experience. Like in my perspective of the world, it just expanded.
Mm,
I didn't know as a Puerto Rican. I mean, we're from an island,
of course.
but how isolated we were, and we were just surrounded by all the Puerto Rican. I mean, we're exposed to many things, but we were just with other Puerto Ricans. So when I came here, I had in my cohort, I had people from South Korea, Macedonia, Africa, um, different parts of the world, Chile. Uh, that I that I think that experience of like being exposed to all these different cultures in the university environment, I think that was what really, like, I don't know, helped me grow in a
Right.
way of like adapting to the language, to the culture, to all that.
Hmm.
I think it gave me the opportunity to bring all these things of my life,
Right.
and then at the end of the day, those things translate to your acting.
Of course.
So it was all uh intrinsically related. I am And then USC, I had the luxury to, for 3 years, from 10 to 6 to 11, to depending if we had rehearsals, to be just nurturing my craft, singing lessons, acting lessons, voice lessons, movement. So it's a luxury, the fact that I was able to do that for that long, and only do that full time. And then eventually, yeah, it's a network. You meet people of other also disciplines, and it's very nurturing to be part of it. I also have to say, nobody in the audition room is gonna ask me, oh, let me see your master's degree or your certificate. Like it's
Right.
really big. But definitely USC gave me a lot to work on with myself. And it was kind of
Yeah.
like a ¿cómo se dice esa palabra? Deconstruct is the word? Yeah,
Compartmentalize or
yeah, como que it was a way of like,
I wish I spoke Spanish.
no, no,
I'm like, maybe I could help you, but no.
no, see, deconstruct
Oh,
myself
deconstruct. Yeah. Break down.
and
Right. Right.
explore, break down myself and
Mhm.
explore the other
Got it.
possibilities of me, and then putting back together little by little.
Yes, yes. And also reveal to you that you're more complex, right? Than meets the eye. Like it's not, you're not black and
Definitely.
white. Like I want to be an actor or an actress. I mean, it's you have all these different facets that make you creative, right? And how do we kind of channel them, implement them to make you the best artist there can be, right? I really liked a lot of what you said about attending USC, where it's not like you need a degree or you need some sort of certificate to become an actor or an actress. But at the same time, it helps you. That's why I said to facilitate your artistic endeavor. Clearly, what you described is it helped you hone and refine your skills as an artist. And it's interesting that you said you were not introduced to diversity or you weren't familiar with that notion, right? Like you had all these different people from walks of life come into your community, your circle, right? And what happened was is it uplifted you and it elevated you, forced you to see different possibilities, right, and learn from them and be inspired by them. And I relate it to myself because I'm not from Puerto Rico, but I am from the suburbs and just outside of Toronto. And Toronto is a big, diverse city, and it's considered a filmmaking hub for entertainment. And growing up in the suburbs, especially being a predominantly Italian area, because I'm Italian myself, I was only used to hanging out with Italians, literally. And as fun as it is, a lot of respect to them. I never was introduced to hanging out with a lot of friends that are now, like from all different races and cultures and things like that. And that's allowed me to expand my horizons with filmmaking, my palette, like the way I tell stories, the way that they're conveyed. And I enjoy that because I never envisioned myself being this pigeonholed kind of like director of only telling stories for Italians. You know what I mean? I've always imagined myself telling a great story. And if that involves an Asian, that involves an Asian. If that involves telling the stories of the Latino community, then so be it, right? So I really admire that, and it's amazing how like even though we come from different places, right? You're from Puerto Rico, and I'm from a small suburb called Vaughan, outside of Toronto. We have very similar experiences. You know what I mean? So that's awesome, and I'm so happy that attending the school helped you like contributed to your success, like your career as an artist. For me, I never attended film school. I never had that opportunity. I used to really believe it was a detriment. Like, oh no, like what? I didn't go to film school. Like I won't be able to get this job or that job, or people won't take me serious. And what I learned that it's far from it. The only
Mhm.
opportunity that I really missed out on is the network and the people that I would have met. The chance to make a film years before I even made my first one. That's the only thing I really truly missed out on because it was very challenging for me to go to networking events and tell people I like movies and film, and they're like, "Well, who are you?" Because a lot of them, it's like a somewhat of a cult in a way where like a lot of people know people and they're just like, "Who are you?" So I felt was a lot of times felt like an outsider. Um, but that just makes for my story, right? That's what makes my story unique and makes me to be a tenacious individual, and why it proves to me I need to pursue this passion, this dream of mine, since I've thought of it when I was a child, right? So good on you for attending a film institution. I love that. I love that it has supported your career. I want to know from you now, like, why was your decision to be in the arts worth it to you? Like, why do you continue to do it even if you face challenges or self-doubt? Yeah, things like that.
Well, I love that part of like what you were saying about like at the end of the day, we're all human and we
Yes.
all share that experience and we're all in this world. And I think it was Brecht that said there's no cure for that.
Right.
So,
It's true.
so I think what the word like is that I can, it is painful and sometimes it is like why am I doing this to myself or why am I keep pursuing this, which is like it's hard and it's And I think sometimes it's so personal, but at the same time it's not, because it's the character, and I mean a lot of things. But at the end of the day, when I see a movie that moves me, that heals me, that makes me think, that makes me angry, that, or a story in theater, or even a painting or a song, I'm like, wow, I'm part of that group that is creating to make you feel
Yes.
a certain way or resonate. Or and it's it's a me thing, but also it's a collective thing.
Mhm.
And I just feel it has to be in my life. And it yeah, it's just, it's such a very, it's a very, ¿cómo se dice?
Difficult to articulate, right? Like describe.
Difficult to it, yeah, because what is it? And it's changing. The older I get, other things come to mind, other realizations. But I do want to keep telling stories.
Right.
I think that's what keeps us like even progressing as a society as well. Like we keep going back, like
Of course.
Shakespeare putting mirror to nature. I think I'm butchering the quote, but like we go back and we reflect on that, and we go forward, and we have predictions of the future, and with science fiction, and we go to classic pieces. I don't know, it's just that constant reflection of us as human beings, and I'm very excited and interested about that.
Yeah, I think what it is like you're fascinated to tell the perfect story or your story, and it's that
Mm.
like chase. I often say I think that's what a lot of creatives are in this business. It's for me, right? Like a writer director, I just there's so many stories I've written, and I have this compulsion to tell them. And for yourself, right? Like as an actress, you probably have this compulsion to tell or portray, I mean, a character that you idolize or fantasize about. You're looking forward to that script that really like pulls you in and says, "Well, I could do this part justice," right? And it'd be the defining one. And it's interesting that you said as you get older, you have different realizations. I'm curious though, like has the passion, like the motivation ever faded in pursuing this dream?
Sometimes also
Yeah,
like
yeah.
go up and down, like
Okay, good.
constantly. And I think that's normal, and I hope it does it.
No, it
And
happens to me. It
work.
happens to the best of us for sure.
It should work like that, because it is
Yeah.
hard.
Yes, yes.
It is raw and brutal sometimes. But also when you actually do the job, and when you connect, and when you, it's actually very rewarding at the same
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
It's like going to a roller coaster, and it's like, I'm gonna die, and then at
Yeah.
the end, oh my God, that was amazing. I want
Yeah.
to do it again. So that's how I feel. And then yes, I feel like now I just want to keep working. Like maybe when I was younger, I was like, ooh, I want to be recognized, and I want fame, and I want this, and
Right.
at this point of my life, yeah, if that happens, good. But it's more like I just want to work as an actor, like a full
I
time.
enjoy
Like
that. Yeah, I appreciate
want to
that.
do this, just want to tell
Yeah.
stories. So yeah, that's what I mean. Why like it's just the like the it has changed the
It's
maybe the
become a
picture.
little bit more focused, like in the sense that when you
Yeah.
were much younger, I believe that too. Like especially me, like when I was entering my 20s, if you were to talk to like my teenage self, right? I would be like, yeah, I want the fame, the glory. And as much as I still like enjoy those aspects, right? Like how cool would it be? Because for me, I'm not bashful about it. Like I really do want to be big and make it big, because I just want my stories to be seen worldwide, and just to create this multimedia empire. I always had this fascination, but at the same time, what humbles me and kind of like makes me more grounded is to understand that it takes time to get there, and we need to focus on one project or task at a time, no matter how mundane or insignificant it is. It needs to be done, right? Kind of thing. So too much of us want to get to the big goal, get to the top, and we have to understand that it's a process, it's a marathon. So I can understand and appreciate what you mean by, you gotta, as you get older, you get, I believe it's a maturity, right? Like you start to understand, like, it's not a fairy tale where it just happens in a blink of an eye. Like it's over time. It's a constant hustle, it's a constant grind, and it's better that way, right? Because something long lasting doesn't happen instantaneous, doesn't happen easy. right? And as my friends would tell me all the time, they remind me, because they know how bad I want it. They say when it hits, it's gonna hit. You know what I mean? Like it always stuck with me. It's like you're right. Like as I keep pulling back that punch, right? As I keep doing these little things like this podcast, having guests like yourself, building a community, putting out my name, Daniel Calderon, and my brand 94 Productions. Eventually, when that time hits, or like I make that film that really resonates with the market, the community, people will, like yourself, say, "Oh, I remember him," or "He was a great person to talk to," and I believe I'll have more of an impactful presence, if that makes sense.
Yes, I
Yes.
understand that.
Awesome. So as we talked about many times, you have a Puerto Rican background, and I thought this was really cool because I don't believe I've had a guest from Puerto Rico.
Look at you.
Yeah. So this is like a first. Unless someone didn't tell me that they were from Puerto Rico, maybe they were hiding that from me. But I
I
thought
know
that
we're
was
very
cool.
proud. We'll let you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So then you're the first, and it's an honor, right? Like that's why I love doing this podcast, because I'm just admiring different backgrounds and the diversity, right, that I can bring on to show that we come from all walks of life. And as for the entertainment industry, primarily in movies and television, we begin to become. I see that they're trying to become more progressive in their social values, and even though that some people still question whether diversity and opportunity is evident for ethnic individuals. And I'm curious from yourself, like, how would you describe your experience in the film business as a Puerto Rican actress?
Well, it never like the first. I'm gonna go, okay. Let me
Sure.
my the first time I arrived here, I was considered an Afro Latina. I never heard that
Oh,
concept ever
wow.
in my
Never
life.
heard it either.
And then
Interesting.
they even made an interview for USC, like, oh, so do you consider yourself an Afro Latina? And
Like they
for
just labeled you that without
yeah,
giving
like
you.
no,
Oh,
no,
wow.
asking me like, oh, do you consider? And there's so many labels,
Yeah,
especially in this country, that is very. And that was a cultural shock when I first arrived.
I understand.
But as a Puerto Rican, I mean, I'm Puerto Rican. I cannot deny that. I also have an accent.
Of
Uh,
course, yeah,
and I think that aspect of the Puerto Ricanness
yeah,
is what I focused more on grad school, and not because they told me like, oh, you have to get rid of that. On the contrary, they always were like celebrating our diversity and like how colorful we were and like all that. But for me, that aspect of like, oh, I have to turn it down a little bit so I'm like more accepted, or like I get more opportunities. And that was my mentality at first. And I worked very hard at school to try
right.
to turn it down. And then I was like, you know what? No, this is me. This is my this is my
Yes,
essence. So I have to say that it doesn't it doesn't, I'm still an actor that auditions, like it hasn't interfered. Yes, I have an accent and maybe, but nobody has told me like, oh no, we don't want to audition because you sound Puerto Rican, or you sound a certain way, or it does, como te digo.
you notice an undertone. Like, do you feel like sometimes you don't get a role because of that?
I mean, sometimes they're just looking for something very specific, and
Yes, yeah,
sometimes I'm not that, or
right,
sometimes, oh, actually we want that she has.
right.
So I was struggling with that at the beginning because of what I thought of how I should sound or how I should be to be accepted. But at the end of the day, it's my essence, it's what you bring that actually gives you the part or no or not.
Yeah,
There's actually a very interesting documentary of Raul Julia. He's a Puerto Rican actor. He died a long time ago.
right.
But it's a documentary of the in the 80s that he's doing Taming of the Shrew, a Shakespeare play,
Nice.
with Meryl Streep.
Oh, wow.
It's like a PBS documentary. It's very
Okay,
old,
great.
and he's being interviewed, and he's saying no, because you have to use our Puerto Ricanness to do this and do that. And he
Yeah.
was one of the, well, he was with Meryl Streep, like there, head and head with her.
Crazy.
So when I saw that video, when I saw what he said as another Puerto Rican fellow actor, I was like, yes.
Yes.
I mean, maybe I will cut myself a little short because they're looking for, we're still in
Mhm.
the United States and there's a certain way that people sound.
Of
But
course.
also, that's another question. We all sound differently. This is an immigrant's country. Like, there's
Yeah.
so many different, So I think the industry, little by little, is like embracing that.
Great.
I've even had roles that says, "Oh, Puerto Rican" or Puerto Rican accent, which is like, "Oh my god, oh my god, yes!" I don't
Yeah,
know.
I could do it.
Yeah, or put a
I love
filter or
that.
try to,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I think it's been good. I cannot complain. It's been good. It's just the hustle, and you just have to keep going. And yeah, as an actor, I think I have to have the flexibility to play with that. And
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I admire everything you're saying. And just speaks. It's a testament to your work ethic, right? You're not just blaming it like oh, it's my ethnicity. I'm not getting the parts. It's kind of like you're assessing it for what it is. It's like sometimes I'm not the right part. It's not for the right role. Or sometimes they're looking for something specific, and even that, right? It's like depending on how hard you work for it, and also if you fit the role, right? Essentially that, which was going to lead to my next question, but you answered it beautifully. And I know it's heartbreaking sometimes to not get something you really desire, but it's even more discouraging to believe it's about your ethnicity or where you come from, because I don't feel it's that way. I know there's undertones, and I know there's some like shady things going on sometimes in the world, but for the most part, we've progressed as a society, and it's relieving to know that you have that experience for yourself, like auditioning for roles. That there's never that racial bias or anything like that. Um,
Well, they
and,
haven't told me.
they haven't told you. You never know, right? Yeah, I should say you never
And
know.
we do also have to, yes, there's a history of that
Of course,
before,
yeah,
and I just erase that. And
for
I think
sure.
it could still happen, yes, of course, but to me, it hasn't. Um,
Right.
and I guess, yeah, what you said, to just get prepared as much as you can, and it's more about like, what can you bring? How do you tell the story than how do I look? Though, yeah, I mean, well, it's connected, but yes, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, the only reason why I asked that, because again, you're very proud, coming from Puerto Rico, and again, you could tell by your accent, right? You're um coming from that background, and I wonder if you ever feel that in that challenge when you're trying to get a role, and maybe you feel like just like they haven't told you, but there's like, oh, did I not get it because they're looking for
Because I
someone
have an accent.
specific?
And
Yeah,
probably yes, definitely. I think
right.
definitely, especially at the beginning. I graduated in 2018, and I was also like scared. It was a new world. I was just been in the university for 3 years in this bubble safety net.
Of course, yeah.
It's like, okay, this is where it starts. But it has been started a long time ago. But
Yeah, yeah.
um, what I was saying. But I think definitely at the beginning, sometimes because I couldn't express myself how I wanted it, because I didn't have the same vocabulary as I do in Spanish, I would feel like inarticulate, and that would get into my head. And
Got
then
it.
that would that wouldn't help me to let it flow. So definitely, maybe there was a time that, not because anyone else was telling me, just myself, like, oh, they're not gonna like this because I have this very thick accent, or I have this, or I don't know. It was
I get.
more me, my mind.
Yeah. It was onto your own, like it was coming more from yourself, like your own self-esteem, like your own thoughts on how
Yeah.
you perceived, yeah, like the situation. And that's just us creatives, right? We get in our own head, whether
Um,
it's about where our ethnicity or our background, or even our own craft, right? Like what we can produce. I'm often guilty of that. I'm going through that right now, right? It's just like this imposter syndrome. It's so weird. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, you've been told repeatedly, like, you got this, you're talented, keep going, whatever. And it's like, it's just, it is what it is. And I listen to Joe Rogan a lot, and he said, if you're not feeling that, that means you're delusional, right? Like, because someone that has imposter syndrome is most likely someone always looking to improve or how to become better. right? And I took that to heart, because I think that's what it is, right? I'm very hard on myself because I want to become better and the best, and I don't settle, right? So sometimes when I have those moments, as much as maybe sometimes they're not as healthy, it's reassuring to know that it's because I set myself up for a high standard, and I won't settle for anything less. So that's good on you. That's the impression I get from yourself, right? It's kind of like you're not one of those like social justice warriors. You don't like, oh, I didn't get that part because I was Puerto Rico, and it's like, no, maybe I didn't prepare, maybe I wasn't, the right look, or I just it wasn't for me, right? Like maybe they were looking for someone else with a different charisma. Like I admire people like that, you know what I mean? Because obviously we don't know for sure, but for the most part, most likely, speaking from a director's position, um, directors are very particular on a look and a certain way in which the actress or actor is to portray a character. And I think the key is to not take it personal, right? It's like it just comes down to really like what they're looking for. And again, you're in this business with the full concept, the full understanding that it's subjective, right? You're not in accounting. It's not like you didn't get the role, even though you got a CPA. You know what I mean? You got all these credentials. Then that would be a raising eyebrow. Like, well, I don't understand why I didn't get the role if I have all these experience and credentials, right?
Yeah.
But in the arts, I often explain to people, like, it really does come down to like subjectivity, like who's viewing you, right? And that's why I always say it's a sprinkle of luck. People don't want to hear like luck. They hate that word. They want to believe like they're in control, and they are. But I really do believe that. Like sometimes it's just that extra push, that unforeseen, things can make that happen. Do you agree with me on that, or am I completely
I
off?
do. I
Okay,
definitely.
okay.
I have a friend that she tells me, Gabriela, one day someone is gonna see. It's like a relationship. Someone is
Yeah.
gonna see you, and they're gonna fall in love with you, and you're gonna fall in love with them. And it's gonna
See?
work. But you just have to, yeah. You
Keep
don't.
putting yourself out there, right?
You have to keep putting yourself out there, and then one day
One
it will
day.
happen.
Exactly. I like that. I like that analogy because it's true. It's like a relationship. Like, um, people often say like you got to work on yourself and put yourself out there, but at the same time we're dealing with human beings, right? We can't just force relationships. Like if two people click, if there's chemistry, then they'll click, right? So I like that. Yeah, your friend's onto something for sure. Great. So many creative individuals often approach moments in their career when they have reflected on past projects and future ones. What projects have you been involved with that helped define you to be the artistic person that you are today?
Um, I mean, there are many projects, but the first project that actually made me realize, like, oh, I can do this. I can actually do this. I was doing this project in the University of Puerto Rico,
Right.
and we went to the Fringe Festival in Scotland.
Okay.
And that was another eye-opening experience where
Okay.
I saw people of literally every part of the world and
Yes.
theater
Yes.
and all
Yeah.
that. And I'm like, oh
People you
wow,
haven't seen before, right?
yes,
Yeah.
language has had told everything.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and that made me, oh, I actually also can do this as well. And then just the experience of like this was like a traveling theater company, so we had to adapt to different scenarios or different spaces, or and also in Puerto Rico, we don't have, I mean, we do have resources, but it's like everything that we do, we make it ourselves most of the
Right.
time. It's not like we have qué sé yo, someone giving us money to like, oh, we can buy this. No, we actually have to make this.
Got it.
So that base of doing theater back home actually really helped me to like, if I'm gonna do it, I have to do it myself. I cannot just rely on someone else, or it's part of a collective, or it's part of like we all are in the arena doing it.
Understood.
Also, I did a solo performance once that helped me to, that also gave me that reaffirmation that, oh, I can write and I can act and I can perform and I can actually do the whole thing.
Right.
And that really, like, yeah, inspired me to actually like do it myself. Not to do it myself, I have to do it myself always, but I have the possibility to create content and to be the owner and an artist. in a way. And in December, I did a short film, a USC thesis film,
Nice.
where it was emotionally very challenging.
Wow.
Like it was about abortion.
Oh, wow. Very
Yeah,
sensitive subject.
very yes.
Yeah, yeah.
It required a whole week of getting into that world and
Wow.
to really go to the emotionally was very demanding, extremely demanding. And I feel like a year ago or a year and a half ago, I wasn't able to do something like that. And it just happened and I was able to do it. Everything that the director asked, I did.
It just fell into place. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And I feel like, oh, and yeah, that was a stepping stone for me, knowing like I can do this. I
Yeah.
can definitely
Yeah. Of course. Was it political? Is that what made it emotionally demanding as well? Or like what I'm saying was the script leaning towards the right side? Like this is how abortion should
But
be
you know
viewed?
why? That's very interesting because it doesn't give you a side. It's just
Oh,
her.
good. Okay. No,
Well,
I'm
my
saying those are the most powerful scripts, right? Like the ones that are ambiguous. Like you have to decide as a viewer, like where you
yeah,
side. Yeah,
I was the lead and I went through the process and like it's just the aftermath of going through an
of
abortion.
course.
And but it
That's
doesn't
awesome.
tell you necessarily this is wrong or this is good or it doesn't tell you that.
Yeah,
It's
because
just
it's up to the
telling you an
audience.
experience
Yes, yes.
this person went through.
That's awesome. Yeah. And that is something very challenging. But again, as actors and actresses, you guys would embrace roles like that, right? Like those are meaty roles, as they say. Like you really explore your emotional range and how you can convey justice to the character that you're portraying, right? Because these are real life characters. Those the best I think performances or what actors and actresses seek the most is those that explore the human condition,
Mhm.
right? Like if you're a true artist and someone coming from theater, right? Like you would understand this, respect this. Like Al Pacino often said this. He loves the theater for that reason because it's raw. Like you're in the presence of the audience, right? There's no cuts. There's no mute. Like there's music, but there's no like flashy visuals or anything to distract the viewer while you take a break, or you can never do another take, right? It's like just so unfiltered and you feel naked almost, right? But that's what the best actors are capable of doing is portraying real life. Because in real life, you know what I mean? Like when you're doing portraying that woman that was suffering with an abortion, right, or contemplating on how to proceed, uh this isn't like a film or a television script. This is like someone you're possibly portraying who knows at this given moment that's going through it, right? Like how would they react truly, right? That's believable. So good on that. I'm really happy that you actually have an experience that helped your artistic way and defined you, because it's very important, right, to look back on projects we worked on and really reflect on like the ones that have shaped us. I know for myself there's been numerous short films, whether it's the people I've worked with or a script that I helped bring to life, that I'm really proud of. It's made me like a better director and just assured me that I was on the right path. Because a lot of times, again, imposter syndrome, we don't
Yeah.
know if we're doing if we're doing well with ourselves. But this really helped me to get to a good point in my career, and I'm happy that it did the same for yourself with the past projects you've been involved with.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So other than the positive things, right? Like that helped define you to this day, like as an artist, I'm curious about if there's any moments in your career that you consider a failure, and how they inspired you to become even better at your craft, like pick yourself up.
Well, I feel like every audition I don't book is a failure.
Oh
But
no. That's great.
I
Humble.
have a lot of those. A
Yeah.
lot.
Right.
But I was hearing someone said the other day, every no, every failure is getting closer to a yes. It's getting
Right.
you closer to a yes.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that changed my framing, so that's good, I guess. But I feel failure. I've been wanting to create my own content for a while, and I
Right.
have to show up and sit down and actually do it. And I think that's the biggest failure I have encountered because
Right.
opportunities just come and keep coming and going. And like, as long as I keep going and trying and thriving, that's
Right.
okay. When I have put myself to do something and I haven't done it or show up for myself, that's what I consider a failure.
Mm.
So I'm
I'm
not
guilty
even
of that too. I just want to mention, like, you're not
yeah.
alone. Yeah.
So even those auditions that I didn't get, it's not. It's just part of it. I auditioned for In the Heights, the movie, the
In the Heights. It sounds familiar, actually. Yes.
Manuel Miranda. Is that it's so they did the Broadway show, I think it was 2008. What or not. It was a long time ago, and now they did the movie like 3 years ago, I guess.
Oh,
And I
wow.
auditioned for it.
Hmm.
And I got a call back with the director, the producer, with everyone,
Okay.
like the big guys.
Right.
And I did a great job. And then they called me, oh, you're in the mix. They're actually considering you. And then I didn't get it. And I felt that that was the biggest failure because it was me, the character. I mean, it's a Latina. I don't think it was Puerto Rican, but it was from the Caribbean. It's New York. Like I would tell myself, how is it possible that it didn't work if it's me? Like this is literally me, the epitome of me, and they didn't see that. Or, I mean, there's so much more involved. It's not
Yeah.
only it's not. There's so many things involved. But at the moment, I felt like that it was the biggest failure because it was so close to me, and not even that was given to me. But
Interesting.
then it's like, well, that's part of the game.
Yeah.
And you keep playing. But I think each failure just makes me be better. So that's good. I'm happy
Yeah.
actually having all these failures so I can just keep, okay, so it didn't work like this. So what am I gonna do now? What is the strategy? Okay. And it keeps me going. And then,
The
and
reminders, yeah, the reminders to be better, right? And the failures of, not succeeding with an audition, those are innate, like it's part of the business. You're
Mhm.
talking more about like for yourself, right? Like things that you've maybe set goals for yourself that you haven't really followed through with or even approached. That I can understand, yeah, is something why you would feel like devastated because you owe it to yourself. You know what I mean? You owe it to yourself to follow through with those goals. No one's going to do it for you. And I think it's very important. But again, life gets in the way. Everyone has their own reasons, and you'll find your way back. Right? It's very challenging to make your own content. My biggest thing, what I advise to you, is just be creative about it. Like find something that you can do efficiently and effectively. That you don't overthink. So, for example, like this podcast allows me to create numerous amounts of content and valuable pieces that I can share with my audience and the audience abroad, right? And has been a great networking tool to meet creatives like yourself. I'd probably never have the opportunity to talk with someone like you because you're not in my like close circle, right, in Toronto, but this platform allows me the excuse to reach out to people like yourself and say, hey, like let's have a conversation about your past and your future and what your experiences have been like. So what I'm saying is that's what's worked for me, right? And you might even find the same thing for yourself. Like, hey, I love to talk to people. I'll create a podcast. I can start on Zoom, like Daniel told me. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, as a filmmaker, I was always told, oh, you should make little film clips and like put them up and shoot. And it's like, yeah, for sure, like it definitely can be done, but realistically, I can only make so many short films in the year. And I have a job and I have other things that I want to do creatively and personally. So I said, what other ways can I put out content and put out my brand, right? So I'm saying same thing for yourself, right? Like, don't think it has to be about acting or performance, if you will. Maybe it's just you create a channel, a vlog channel on your day-to-day life, right? And your charisma and your personality gets recognized, right? And you can use that and sell that to become an actress, audition for a character, right? And use that following as leverage to land a role. So that's how I kind of like perceive it. Is just you can take a creative approach. You know what I mean?
I love it.
So
Thank you so much.
yeah,
respect
yeah.
that.
I see. No, because I'll be honest, when I was speaking to you, I'm saying like, aside from whatever you have planned for yourself, but I see you doing like some sort of vlog and, hi, my name's Gabriela. Like, welcome to my channel. You know, I see you doing that and everyone's doing it. I think you do very well, especially TikTok. Just a minute, you have a
You
very,
know that I haven't downloaded
a TikTok?
TikTok, and
Oh, no.
everyone tells me, Gabriela, you have to
You
download
have to, yeah,
it.
yeah,
Hate
yeah.
it. So, okay, I'm gonna do it. So thank you because you're like not pushing me, but you're encouraging me, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I see the strengths in people, and for yourself, like, It can be done. You know what I mean? Like I said, just start with one thing, and it doesn't even have to be a long video. It's just a minute. Just pick a subject. Like, what do you want to talk about? And just talk to the camera. Sound like Gary Vee right now. It's essentially it, right? You're an actress. You have a presentability about you, so you'll go far. I believe it's just about consistency. That's all it comes down to, right? But I've learned that the hard way, right? Like it's taken me many years to find my niche. I'm still exploring it. But that's what I meant by like everybody has a different approach. You just got to find your own.
I love
Awesome.
that.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to know from yourself, what do you envision next as an actress, or perhaps pursuing in another art form?
I definitely want to create my own content.
Okay. Yes.
That is
Yes.
the thing that I actually wrote for. That's one of the goals this year
For 2023.
for
Perfect.
2020.
We'll do a follow-up podcast in 2024.
Oh yes.
Yeah. We'll keep. I'm serious. I want to see that TikTok page blow up.
Okay. Okay. Accountability. I love it.
Yes. Yeah. I
Um.
gotta do it because this guy Daniel in Toronto. Who?
It all started with Daniel.
Yes. Yes. I'll be the catalyst.
And I want to book a TV show. I want to book a
Awesome.
TV. It's regular, but you know that's not
Like to be a reoccurring character. You imagine yourself
reoccurring, like a TV series regular reoccurring character.
or main
That's-
cast. Yeah. Awesome.
Yes, that is the goal. To get there, um, well, acting classes. Even though I have a master's degree, I am now taking acting classes. There's a place called school called The Imagine Life, which is really good. I am very excited about being
Awesome.
there. And it's a you know, you have to keep going and keep the oiling the motor. That's how you say
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. Greasing the wheels. Yeah, for sure.
the wheels. But definitely that about the creating my own content. It's a big one. It's a big.
Yes. Yes. I can
It's
understand.
gonna
Yeah.
require energy and focus and consistency and action.
Yeah. Do you say, would you say like it's procrastination, or do you genuinely like, are you busy? Because I know a lot of creatives, they
It's
balance stuff.
both.
Oh, okay.
It's both. It's
Yeah.
both.
Okay.
But definitely I feel like I already like sat down and wrote yeah,
Yeah.
escribí
Yeah.
the path that I want to go with, and yeah, it's just now action. It's now like, okay, now let's do it.
Yeah, I see it happening. Like, and again, that's why I'm very, very empathetic, because I'm going through it right now. Like, I have something creative that I have to do right after this, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. Like, how do I approach it? And I've been through this before, literally, like so many times, dozens of times. I just have to sit down, focus, find the discipline, and I know eventually it'll come at me. And what we have to tell ourselves as creatives is it's not always going to be perfect, or our version of perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like, actually, every work that I've gone through in the past, like that I've put out, I've always looked at and critiqued and ridiculed. Like I said, oh, I could have been better. Like I would have changed that and this and that. But in the moment, I thought it was great. But this is my point. It's like, it's never going to be perfect. Just do the best you can with it and move on to your next item, right? Like your first video, I promise you, is not going to be the greatest. And not because of yourself. It's just when you are consistent enough. I'm serious. When you're consistent enough and you put it out, right? Like even this podcast, the first episode, if I send you the link, you'll laugh. I was on a couch. It was like fuzzy, grainy, like video quality. I was using headphones that kept scratching against my neck. I was even talking about like ludicrous topics. Like it was just like all over the place. Like it was like, oh, you changed your tires for your car? How was that a process? Like it just had nothing to do. There was no direction, right? But I needed to go through that in order to get to this point. And this point isn't even like my optimal version of success, right? So it's like we just got to keep working on ourselves, and eventually we'll get there. But the first and the hardest part is to just try and to just put yourself like just do it. And I see yourself doing it, and I see you have such a rich history, and you can be a very an inspiration to also your community, like your background, like a lot of Puerto Ricans, and you can talk about like growing up or your experiences and going to school USC and what's that been like. Like people want to hear that content. I know I would, right? And you break it up into a minute clip. Oh my God, you have exponential amount of clips, right? So just talk, put a ring light, you're good to go.
Okay. I will take that to my heart. And
Perfect.
open TikTok after this.
No, because I know a lot of actors though. Like I'm thinking, I'm overwhelmed for you because I'm thinking, oh, like I understand, like she has to figure out a skit or like act and this and that. But I'm like, I feel like you just gotta like put yourself, like you have the charisma already, you have the look. Just start talking. I'm telling you, like just start like talking about a topic you enjoy. Make it around the arts, make it around your life. Who knows? And
It
then you
is
can
very
sprinkle it in.
surprising. Yes, because
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen other actresses or people just talking about very mundane things, and they have I don't know,
100%.
followers. I'm like, oh my God, what I've been doing all this time.
And
But
what happens, yeah, and what happens is they use that following. Because I'm not an actor, but I've heard a lot of like actors I deal with. They use that following to leverage themselves with the casting director or the director themselves to get the role, right? It's a tactic, right? You have to do it. But what I'm saying is like, let's say you get 100,000 followers from TikTok, right? From your little videos on like how to improve and become better, or this is my day-to-day life. You could use that in an audition, or they might even look into it without even you telling them. It could just help you. It's a win-win for you, right? Like you won't lose as long as you like put yourself out there. People will get to know more about you and see who you are. Um, and you might even become bigger than these auditions, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like who's to say like an independent film director like just wants to do something with you? You know what I mean? And then they create a stunning project, and you skip all that. You know, all the gatekeepers. So that's how I look at it. But I definitely respect that it's a grind. It's easier said than done. But I believe in you and I know you could do it.
Ay, gracias. Thank
Yes. Perfect. Well, Gabriela, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thank you again for such your insightful journey and your experiences in this craft. It was a true pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Daniel. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So Gabriela, thank you again for coming on to the podcast. Thank you everybody else for listening, and we'll talk soon.